Konnichiwa! After a wonderful experience in Japan in 2013, we made our way back to Japan in late 2014 as well. The plan was to go visit Osaka. However, United had some other plans. On our flight to Osaka as we lifted off from SFO, we made a minor turnaround, and due to one of the pilots being sick, so we had to switch over, and due to the reroute, we eventually ended up in Haneda Airport in Tokyo. Since the plane was so late, United offered a free room or free night stay at the Royal Park Hotel. The layover was overnight, so we only had maybe 3-4 hours of sleep there, but the hotel is quite nice. Beautiful views out onto the grounds of the Royal Park Hotel. The room was a little tight with 3 single beds, but this is normal for Japanese standards. The bathroom, however, was pretty neat, nice and cool. The shower heads were quite modern and pretty cool with its multi-knob design. The hotel also offers some cool bathrobes, so here's me looking like a hoser. After a few hours of sleep, we then went back to Haneda Airport, and you can see here some cool restaurants. They haven't been opened yet since it was so early. I think it was like 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning. However, one of the cool things I really noticed was the bathrooms. These were like some of the most incredibly clean bathrooms I've ever seen at an airport. Amazing. I guess you can expect this only in Japan. Once we arrived at Osaka, we went to our hotel. We stayed at the St. Regis for the week we were there in Osaka. The hotel was truly awesome. Great experience, beautiful decor. There was a Zen garden there, awesome bar, beautiful artwork throughout. For a full review, definitely check out the link above if you're interested. Since we arrived in Osaka early in the morning, we hit the ground running and went straight to Osaka Castle. We entered Osaka Castle through Bunbu-an Gate, which is one of the 4 entrances to Osaka-jo Castle. To the left of the picture, you can see Sengayagura Watchtower, which is an important watchtower for defending Bunbu-an Gate from the northwest. Osaka Castle is very impressive with very thick outer walls and a deep moat. Here is pictured a watchtower. This is the number 6 watchtower and was one of the corner emplacements for protecting the southern side of the inner citadel. We eventually made it to Sakuramon Gate. Sakuramon Gate is the main entrance to the inner citadel and is located directly south of the keep. South to southeast of the Sakuramon Gate is an area that is dedicated to Toyotomi Hideyoshi. He was a preeminent daimyo and general as well as samurai during the Sengoku period, and he's often regarded as Japan's second great unifier during the Warring State period. Here you'll find the Hokoku Shrine, which is dedicated to Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Here's the emblem for the Toyotomi clan. As we approach Osaka Castle itself, we notice a merchant selling some items, including this fabric scroll with all the different emblems of the various clans during the Sengoku period. Very cool. As you approach Osaka Castle, you're greeted with this beautiful, nice garden. Very serene, very peaceful. Then out from the ground erupts this very imposing and incredibly beautiful castle. Outside the castle, you're going to see some panels that describe how the castle was constructed. The current tower that you see today was built in 1931 after 260 years of absence. It's the third to stand on the site since the first was built by Hideyoshi Toyotomi. The imposing castle is actually quite beautiful with the various gold leaflets on top. The central castle building stands 5 stories on the outside with 3 stories underground, so in total there's 8 stories inside. The views from the base of the castle are quite beautiful, as you can see the moat and the various foliage changes around the castle. Truly stunning. As you enter into Osaka Castle, you're greeted with a very impressive display. This is a Shachihoko with a tiger. The Shachihoko is basically, within Japanese folklore, it's an animal that has the head of a tiger and the body of a carp. It's believed that it can cause rain to fall, and so temples and castles are often adorned with these animals. Osaka Castle is also kind of a touristy trap, and so one of the cool little things you can do once you're there is you can dress up as a samurai with the actual katana blade as well. As you enter through the castle and walk up through the various levels, there's various exhibits, including this model of Osaka Castle. Here is a preserved fabric artifact showing the emblem of the Toyotomi clan. Another beautiful exhibit, this showcasing the armor of the time. Here's another incredible exhibit of a well-preserved samurai armor. Here's a large Japanese screen illustrating one of the major battles at Osaka. In addition to the Japanese screens, there's actually a recreation of one of these samurai battles in figurines. Next to this exhibit, is a display where you'll see various umajirushu, which are massive flags or standards that were used to identify a daimyo or an important military commander on the field of battle. Afterwards, we climbed to the top of Osaka Castle, and we were welcomed by this beautiful view of Osaka. You can see these different directional views from north, west, east, south from the top of Osaka Castle. As mentioned before, castles and temples often have these shachihoko gargoyles, essentially, which are carp fish with a tiger face. Next to Osaka Castle, you'll also find Nishi-no-maru Gardens. This used to be the residence of former wife to the Shogun Toyotomi Hideyoshi. It's been transformed into a lawn garden and nice and serene. The gardens themselves have some nice bonsai trees. Afterwards, we went to the Osaka Museum of History where we grabbed some lunch at a local cafe. HG went with the kaiseki bento box. I went with a pork cutlet and curry dish. Very simple and hearty. Afterwards, we explored the Osaka Museum of History, which is just next to Osaka Castle. As you go through the various exhibits in the Osaka Museum of History, you go up through the various levels and you go from the ancient times to the modern times of Osaka. It's pretty cool as you'll see the site of the Naniwa Palace and ending with exhibits of the city's bustling shopping arcades. Here's an exhibit illustrating the old architecture back in old-time Osaka. On the higher floors of the Osaka Museum of History, you also get some nice views of Osaka as well as Osaka Castle. Here's an exhibit of the old currency used in Osaka. And I'm not really sure what this is, but it could be a small replica of a ship. For dinner, we stopped by at Ajikichu Bunbu-an. It's a 1 Michelin star restaurant just below where St. Regis is, so very conveniently located. The interior is in the style of a tea ceremony house, conveying traditional beauty and grace. Once you come in, you're transported into a very serene environment and it's quite relaxing. For a full review of the restaurant and the food, please check out the link above if you're interested. Osaka is known for great food, and Ajikichu Bunbu-an definitely did not disappoint and was a great start to our stay at Osaka. On our second full day in Osaka, we walked down Shinsaibashi, which is a district in Chuoku in Osaka. This is the main shopping area, and at its center is Shinsaibashi Suji, which is a covered shopping street that's north of Dotonbori and runs parallel with Midosuji Street. As we walked around, we noticed a very interesting new burger at Burger King called the Kuro Burger. This is a burger sold at Burger King in Japan only. The buns and the cheese of the hamburger are colored with bamboo charcoal, and then the ketchup and the onions on the hamburger are colored black with squid ink. We never really tried it, but it looked pretty darn cool. For more traditional specialties, here's this guy, fugu. Pretty cool fish, basically puffer fish, a real delicacy. As we made our way to Dotonbori, we found the iconic tourist electrical sign, Mr. Glicoman. Glicoman, originally installed in 1935 as a sign depicting a giant athlete, and it's a symbol of the Glico Candy Store or candy company. The current incarnation of Glicoman uses LEDs, but the previous 5 incarnations, I believe, used neon lights. As we entered into Dotonbori, we noticed another landmark sign. This is the Kani Doraku crab. This is a 6.5 meter crab in front of a crab restaurant that specializes in crabs. Impressively, this crab actually can move, so its arms and eye stalks actually will move. A third landmark within Dotonbori is the Quidaro Taro. It's basically a mechanized drone-playing clown. I know, kind of creepy looking to me, but nonetheless, there was a lot of tourists, including Japanese, who loved to get in front of the clown and take pictures. However, who are we kidding? We're in Dotonbori for the food. The food here is remarkable. It's basically street food. There's multiple chain stores and other stores here just filled with awesome food. There's a saying in Japanese called kuidaore, which means to ruin oneself by extravagance in food, and this is associated with the Dotonbori street food culture. Nonetheless, hey, what can you say when you have such good food? I can see why they say that. In Osaka, you have to try out their takoyaki, one of their specialties, the other one being okonomiyaki. Takoyaki is a ball-shaped snack made out of wheat flour-based batter, and in the middle, there's a piece of octopus. Each vendor has its own special style and toppings, so there's really a lot of combinations you can try. Another Osaka specialty is kushikatsu. You see here the Angry Man. This is one of the major chains in Osaka, and gotta go try it out if you're in Osaka. Kushikatsu basically consists of deep-fried skewered meat or vegetables. One of the unique things about kushikatsu is that it comes with a big pot of sauce that you can dip the kushikatsu skewers in. However, it's a common dipping pan, so no double dipping. I repeat, do not double dip your food because this is very offensive to the other diners. After stuffing our face with some awesome street food, we then walked around Mirasuji Street, essentially, and saw some temples, saw some stores, and of course, this is kind of like the Champs-Élysées of Osaka. You're going to see some expensive car companies, including Rolls-Royce, Bentley, McLaren, Ferrari. Oh, and did I mention Lamborghini? For dinner, we went to a local soba shop. Soba is basically a buckwheat noodle, very thin noodles, and it can be served cold or hot or in a dipped way. This was a perfect light dinner that really hit the spot. For our third full day in Osaka, we went shopping for souvenirs. Here you're going to see a very cool gift. This is a square watermelon. These fruits can often be $50 to $100 each. They're not to be eaten, however, because due to the way they grow these, the inside doesn't really mature, so it's not that tasty, but it definitely makes for a very impressive gift. For those interested in culinary ware or knives or cups, this is the best place to go for cheap but high quality goods. Don't go to Yasuji Street or Arcade. Multiple warehouses and stores here sell utensils, spoons, knives, forks, cups, plates, you name it. Interestingly, you also find some replica katana blades and samurai swords. So if you're into that, you can also get some replica souvenirs here. For lunch, we went to Takashimaya, which is a huge department store in Osaka, and in their food court, there is a specialty store that sells unagi. I love unagi, which is basically broiled eel. This was a perfect store. All they do is unagi. The unagi set comes with a salad and a soup with basically I believe the liver or some clam in there. It's a clear soup, perfectly briny, and the unagi was sweet and fatty. What more can you ask for? Afterwards, we headed down to Osaka Station, where there's just a huge complex of multiple department stores, including Daimaru, Hankyu, and Hansen. Additionally, there's a whole new Grand Front Osaka. Basically, it's a whole living complex as well as stores there that's just beautifully constructed. As we walked through the various department stores, got a little bit hungry, so we went for a snack. And I noticed one of my favorite restaurants, Din Tai Fung. It's a Taiwanese restaurant that specializes in xiaolongbao, which are soup dumplings. So we had a little bit of snack, and it was awesome. Here you see the people working and making those xiaolongbao. Along the way, we also noticed the Suntory Whiskey House, and it's a special store where you can go in and sample the various whiskeys that Suntory makes. It turns out the Japanese actually have been very good recently creating these whiskeys, these single malt whiskeys. So if you love whiskey, actually Japan is a great place to go and try it out. Afterwards, we had dinner at a local restaurant in one of the department stores in the food court, and we found the set menu here, which includes sashimi, sushi, udon, tempura, as well as some fresh vegetables. This was truly a great bargain. It was about $20 per person. Exceptional value, awesome food. I mean, Osaka is known for good food, and definitely, again, they did not disappoint. Afterwards, we walked out for dinner by walking around Osaka Station, and it was truly very beautiful, all lit up at night. For our fourth full day, we decided to take a day trip to Kyoto. Once we got to Kyoto, we had a nice breakfast at Hotel Grand Via. Then, we went to the Fushimi Inari Shrine. Fushimi Inari Shrine is an important Shinto shrine in southern Kyoto. It has thousands of vermilion-colored torii gates which straddle multiple trails that go to the main buildings in the complex. The trails lead into a wooded forest area on the sacred Mount Inari, which is about 200 meters in height. Fushimi Inari is one of the important shrines dedicated to Inari, who is the god of rice. Foxes happen to be Inari's messengers, so you'll see multiple fox statues throughout the complex. Throughout the complex, you can sit and pray or give donations as well. And of course, the whole complex is colored in vermilion orange. Here's a map showing the route all the way up Mount Inari. And here are some Inari foxes. When you first start out, the tories are very nice and wide and spaced quite tightly against each other. So you can probably count, just going up like 1,000 feet, there's at least hundreds of tories. It's pretty impressive. Along the way, there are various rest stops, and you can even buy mini tories. And through your donations, they can repair and put up new tories. Halfway up the mountain, there's a major rest stop where you can get some beautiful views of Kyoto. As you continue up the mountain, the tories start to get spaced out a little bit more. Somewhat anticlimactically, we reached the top, even without really noticing, until we saw this sign. So we made it to the top. It was not too bad of a climb, and actually it was very beautiful walking up. As we made our way down, we walked past and said farewell to Fushimi Inari. It was an awesome hike, beautiful views of Kyoto. If you get a chance, definitely check it out. However, if you're going to go, try to go there early because crowds really start to form around 9. Afterwards, we made our way to Nijo Castle in Kyoto. Nijo Castle is one of 17 historical monuments in ancient Kyoto and is designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Nijo Castle served as the residence for Tokugawa Ieyasu, and it was built in 1603. Nijo Castle can be divided into 3 main areas. You have the Hamaru, which is the main circle of defense, then the Nidomaru, the second circle of defense, and then some gardens that encircle the Hamaru and Nidomaru. Then the entire castle grounds and the Hamaru are surrounded by stone walls and moats. Interestingly, there's basically 2 palaces, the Hamaru and the Nidomaru Palace. The Nidomaru Palace is usually where the Shogun lives. Hamaru is not regularly open to the public, but occasionally they'll have special events and visitors may be able to go see it. Most of the time, though, you'll only be able to see the Hamaru gardens and climb around the stone foundations. If you're into samurai swords and katana blades as well as samurai armor, Kyoto is the place to go to find some true, exceptional craftsmanship. We actually stumbled upon the store called Tozando's, and they had some really cool samurai armor that you can check out and even buy. Tozando also carries various Yalto swords as well as replica swords. Very high quality, definitely check it out. In the upstairs section of the store, you'll find some really cool samurai armor as well as some real katana blades, which I don't think you can buy. Well, maybe you can, but they're quite expensive. Nonetheless, truly impressive exhibit. After a historic and fun-filled day in Kyoto, we say farewell to the Kyoto Tower. After taking the bullet train back to Osaka for dinner, we decided to have Kobe beef. HG was hankering for some beef, so we decided to get some high-quality Tajima beef. We started off with some beef carpaccio. It just melted in the mouth, beautifully flavored. Next came a palate-cleansing vegetable soup. Next came a dish I really loved, although I'm not really sure what was in the dip. This is almost like a fondue of sorts. There was various boiled or cooked vegetables that you could dip into this fondue type dip, and it tasted very beefy, somewhat livery, but it was a perfect combination of flavors. Next came a palate cleansing salad, very nice. For the main dish, we had Tajima sirloin. This was perfectly cooked, melt in your mouth beefiness, awesome dish. On the side, you had a beef stew-like dish with some rice. All this came out to, I believe, around $40 per person. Again, very high quality meal. Big thumbs up. On our final full day in Osaka, we checked out the southern part of Osaka, including Abeno Holocaust. It is a tall skyscraper. It's a multi-use building. The building stands at 300 meters tall, so it's the tallest skyscraper in Osaka, so you'll get some pretty nice views of the city. On the observatory floor, you really do get an expansive and wide, long, distant view of all of Osaka. It was a clear day, so it was a beautiful day to go check it out. We also noticed a really cool temple out in the distance called Shitanoji. More on this later. One of the interesting things we noticed was the bunbu-an cake. We never saw this before, but it's a German variety of spit cakes, and it's very popular in Japan apparently. When you cut into the cake, there's multiple layers and it essentially resembles tree rings, hence the name. For lunch, we stopped by a local unagi shop, which specializes in everything about unagi or eel. They cook all parts of the eel, not only the flank of it, but also the gallbladder, the bones, the skin, the head. I went with their specialty, which included the unagi fillet, as well as the bones and the liver, as well as the intestines. I will say the real highlight of this was, of course, the unagi fillet. However, the unagi bones were deep fried and were excellent, very crispy like potato chips. HG went with a set that included unagi, as well as an omelet. Afterwards, we walked around the Tennoji Park region, where the Tennoji Zoo was located, although we didn't actually go to the zoo, but the grounds were actually quite nice and it was a nice stroll through the park. Off in the distance, you'll see the Tsutenkaku Tower. It's an observatory tower and it's a landmark famous for its neon lights. We then meandered through the streets to try to get to Shitennoji. However, Soma had to get distracted by a cute Akita dog. Shitennoji Temple is a Buddhist temple in Osaka and it's one of the oldest temples in Japan. Shitennoji Temple is sometimes regarded as the first Buddhist temple in Japan, although the temple buildings have been rebuilt over the years. The central pagoda has 5 stories. Inside the temple, you'll see a huge Buddha. Around the temple, there was also a really cool statue. After so much walking, we decided to have a pre-dinner drink at the St. Regis bar. We were greeted with a beautiful view of Osaka. One of the unique things about St. Regis is that every hotel has their own version of the Bloody Mary. So in Japan, in the Osaka St. Regis, we decided to go with their special Shogun Bloody Mary. It was actually quite good. After our drink, we went to Korea, which is a 3 Michelin star restaurant in Osaka. Korea is a small restaurant with only 2 seatings per night. It's a good idea to get reservations, especially with a native speaker. For the first dish is a soup dish with some fish and a nice clear broth with some vegetables. Very nice, warming soup. Next came a tofu appetizer, nice and refreshing. Next was the sashimi plate. This was actually one of the highlights of the meal. The white fish was firm and the edible flowers actually went quite well with it. You also get freshly grated wasabi. The chutoro was also perfectly fatty and marbled. The clam was nice and sweet with a little bit of mustard that gave it a little bit of kick. Next came out a soup that really embodied fall with mushrooms and roots. Next came a refreshing vinegary and tart salad with some edible greens. Given the small size of the restaurant, you also get a beautiful view of the cooking. Here are some sweet fish being cooked over the coals. And here's the sweet fish perfectly grilled on the plate. Inside was actually full of eggs, so it was a very decadent and very crispy fish. Next came a palate cleanser with salmon roe and I believe some lemon zest on top. Finally came the Miyazaki beef. This was perfectly grilled and presented. Each piece basically melted in your mouth with beefy goodness. Completing the main courses of the meal is a rice dish. It actually turned out to be porridge with some natto, some mushrooms, and some pickled goods. For dessert, a fruit sorbet with mint on top really was a nice and refreshing end to a beautiful meal. In total, it came out to be about $120 per person. This was a true bargain for a 3 Michelin star restaurant. The next day, we went to Umeda Tower to check out one of the iconic and recognizable landmarks in Osaka. The Umeda Sky Building is a very recognizable building in that it consists of 2 40-story towers where they're connected at the very top with a bridge and escalator crossing the atrium between the 2. Here we are going up the escalator all the way up to the very top to the observatory. At the rooftop observatory, otherwise called the Floating Garden Observatory, you get some pretty beautiful views of Osaka. Here's an interesting building with a highway going straight through the building. Pretty neat. I've only seen this in Japan and nowhere else. Here are some other cityscapes from the views on top of the Sky Tower. Afterwards, we went back to the Grand Front Osaka region and went to one of the local shops that we had lunch before, had the set meal again. Again, another great bargain at about $20 per person. Afterwards, we packed up and then went to Kansai Airport. We then boarded our 787 Dreamliner and returned home. As I reflect back on our trip to Osaka, I have to say it truly embodies the saying, "Kui daore." There's so much good food here, you can easily eat yourself to bankruptcy. Well, although I have to say, it is very affordable to eat there and it's very affordable to eat very well there. My mouth is already watering thinking about all the good food in Osaka. I'm definitely coming back soon to this food and culinary destination. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like it down below and subscribe to our channel to check out our other videos. Take care.